Okay, so we move to item 9, the approval of extensions of time for Central City Landmark Heritage Grants for 116 Worcester Street and 387 Manchester Street. Welcome, Brendan. Right, I'll take the reports as read, but Brendan, is there anything that you need to add for us today?
Can I just emphasise that the other building, obviously 116 Worcester Street, is in the same kind of category. The work has now started on that building as well.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit slower to get going, but these are big projects. They do tend to require fairly long, drawn-out processes to get the correct procedures in place. But it's finally getting started now. So you'll start to see things happening on that site as well. And these are as Chris said, these kind of projects, they do require a little bit more time. So these extensions of time that I'm asking for you, they seem to come around fairly frequently, but they are fairly normal. They're anticipated. 18 months is a pretty short time frame to do some of these major projects. But that's the process that we're dealing with. Right,
well, I think I've got Sam indicating he's happy to move. Yes. Oh, quick question as well.
Thanks, Brendan. So I guess when we do set these timelines originally, I mean, maybe going, or if there is an event in the future, are we comfortable with getting them right to start with?
With hindsight, yeah, I think we would give more time, certainly. But when the scheme was created, I don't know, maybe people thought that the complexities of fixing these kind of buildings wouldn't be so onerous, but that's the way it's turned out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just the other one is, and probably just more an assurance thing, we're doing everything internally we can to make these as easy as possible. We're not putting any roadblocks in the way or anything.
Absolutely, no. We have a strategic partnerships team which work alongside us to help the whole thing keep moving, because there's other parts of council that get involved, obviously building consents and road and
But you're pretty comfortable with where the council's position is on both of them?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Happy to move.
So Sam's happy to move. Liam, were you happy to second? That's great. Is there any debate? Andrew.
Thank you. Both of these are hugely prominent heritage buildings. We're actually fortunate in both cases to have owners of these buildings that value the heritage and are highly motivated to preserve the heritage. We're also fortunate to have had this grant funding in place so that we can use it as a city to assist with the retention of the heritage that we're talking about here. We've lost a lot, and therefore it's hugely important that we preserve what we have left. The extension of both of these grants is absolutely the right thing to do, so the city can play its role in supporting these building owners to do exactly that. So I'm very supportive of both of these extensions today.
Thank you. Anyone else? Phil.
Yeah, I'm certainly supportive of this. The guys with the state insurance building, from what I understand, we're going to use it as a hotel complex, but COVID's sort of paid to that for a while. But I agree with Andrew. These two buildings are very important that we look after the heritage of these, and I would rather see us going forward concentrating on things like this than some of the other ones that we do throw some dough at. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim and Leanne.
Yeah, look, thank you. I think these two are both outstanding buildings. I personally think it's good to have a timeline. And I do think the timelines that we have are good, because we do need to set a line in the sand and put a wee bit of pressure on for these things to happen and move forward. And I don't think we've had any issues with regards to extending these timelines when it's been required. So I personally think it's good to set a timeline and put some pressure on. The work that's been done is absolutely outstanding on these buildings, but I do think we need to put a wee bit of emphasis behind them. So thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you. Just the personal connection with these buildings. The former state insurance building used to house the Department of Lands, or whatever it was in those days. I was a young law clerk and stamping and registration clerk, and so I used to go to the office there to search titles, because you couldn't do it. There was no such thing as online searches, and I used to go and register, transfers and mortgages and discharges and caveats and various other bits and pieces. So that's and it was just to know that building will be restored to use is fantastic. McLean's Mansion, I didn't know it when it was a dental school, but I did know it when it was the academy, and it was really the first of its kind in terms of the type of training that are offered young people going particularly in foundation courses and various things. So it's had a great use, but what it reminds me is that it is the modern day use of these buildings that breathes new life into them when they're completed. So it's great to see the owners really committing themselves to the future. And maybe the solution to the 2 points that have been raised about timelines is maybe in the presentation of the acceptance of the application to the fund, we could delegate to staff some extension so that you're monitoring within that, and then just a reporting back function to council. So that might be just a way of taking it forward.
Okay, thank you. And Sam?
I agree with Leanne. That would be, you could probably get some internal ones in place, and then if it got to a point where it was going far too long, then bring it back to council. The only point I want to make was this isn't a commitment of additional money, it's a commitment we made previously, so it would be pretty bad for us to not honour that, given the progress that they've both made. So.
Great. And with that, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Declare that carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, and I'll just go flick back. There's no